Keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings, and the oppositions of science, falsely so called. 1 Timothy 6:20. In this presentation, we're going to examine how modern, so-called scientific theories concerning the origins and fundamental nature of the universe are no more than the same superstitious beliefs that have circulated around the world for thousands of years, all finding their roots in ancient mystery schools and religions. The first subject we're going to cover is the Big Bang theory. And we're going to find that for thousands of years, people have believed in a very similar Big Bang type phenomena, and even in the timeline of about 15 billion years, age to the universe. The modern Big Bang theory is defined as the explosion of an extremely small, hot, and dense body of matter that, according to some cosmological theories, gave rise to the universe between 12 and 20 billion years ago. In ancient India, these are the Hindu Brahmins. Brahma, the creative principle, becomes the size of an atomic particle and brings to life the whole universe. After hundreds of millions of years, Brahma, the universe, split the egg into parts, making heaven out of one and earth out of the other. By concentrated heat, Brahma, the universe, attains expansion and becomes primordial matter, and from this comes life. Brahma is the seed from which the whole universe has sprung, giving rise to the mobile and immobile elements. And then we'll move ahead to the ancient Greeks. First about Pythagoras, 6th century BC. Pythagoras studied under the Hindu Brahmins and Egyptians, and he absorbed a lot of their Big Bang type origin beliefs. And these are all recorded by Saint Hippolytus in his Refutation of All Heresies. So we move on to Anaximenes, 6th century BC, and he talked about something called Apeiron, which was sudden creation of matter. And matter is generated by the separation of opposing elements, such as heat and cold. And Anaximander, 6th century BC, he believed that all the heavens and the worlds spring out of some indefinite state of being that preceded natural elements. And Archelaus, 5th century BC, believed that out of primal chaos sprang the mass that formed into the earth. Democritus, 5th century BC, regarded as the father of atomic theory, believed that small particles appeared and built up all the matter that made up the universe. Epicurus, 4th century BC, believed that all things were randomly generated and formed by small particles. Random forces replaced any need for design purpose. Now we're moving ahead to 1st century AD, and these are the Kabbalists. We start with Nechunya ben Hakana, and he estimated the age of the universe to be roughly 15 billion years old, based on the 42-letter name for God. And then Nachmanides, 12th century AD, he believed that before the universe there was nothing, but suddenly the entire creation appeared as a minuscule speck. From this speck all the raw material of the physical universe expanded out and turned into matter as we know it. Rabbi Isaac of Acco, 13th century AD, concludes from the Zohar, one of their holy texts, that the first creation was 15 billion years ago, based on adding up divine years. Isaac Luria, 16th century AD, believed that the universe was shattered at the moment of mundane creation. From this cataclysm, holy sparks flew off in all directions, producing the things of the world. This is the exact same Big Bang that we're being taught today. It's exactly the same. Do you really think modern science just happened to hit upon this? It's just some amazing coincidence? No. These people in their vain imaginations want this to be true. They want the universe to be an accident. They don't care about the science. They don't care about evidence. They've had this idea for thousands of years, and they just want it to be true. They want to say, this universe created itself. And then we move into the 19th century with Edgar Allan Poe. And in 1848, in one of his writings, Eureka, a prose poem, he wrote that a primordial particle fragmented itself into atoms that spread evenly throughout space until it began to clump together, forming stars. So there you have the exact description of the modern Big Bang in 1848, at least. And then we move ahead to Georges Lemaitre of the 20th century. In 1931, Lemaitre first voiced his proposal that the universe had expanded from an initial point, which he called the primordial atom, or the cosmic egg, exploding at the moment of creation, which became known as the Big Bang Theory. So, yeah, when people heard this, they probably thought this was a new theory, but when we actually research what people were saying for thousands of years, this was basically the same thing people have been saying, since, at least 2,500 years ago. So the Big Bang Theory was established, and then we had a bunch of cosmologists and astronomers weighing in on it. This is just a couple quotes. William Kaufman claimed that during the cosmic singularity, the universe was flooded with particles and antiparticles created by the violent expansion of space. Carl Sagan: in that titanic cosmic explosion, the universe began an expansion which has never ceased. The radiation of the cosmic fireball, which then is now, filled the universe and moved through the spectrum. The cosmos is all that is or ever was or ever will be. It is the universe that made us, and we are creatures of the cosmos. So this is, you could just hear someone saying this in 500 BC. It's the exact same thing. And then we find in a Prentice Hall science textbook in 1992, most astronomers believe that about 18 to 20 billion years ago, all the matter in the universe was concentrated into one very dense, very hot region that may have been much smaller than a period on this page. For some unknown reason, this region exploded. This explosion is called the Big Bang. And then we have NASA, their Origins program. It follows the 15 billion year long chain of events from the birth of the universe at the Big Bang through the formation of the chemical elements, galaxies, stars, and planets, through the mixing of chemicals and energy that cradles life on Earth, to the earliest self-replicating organisms and the profusion of life. It's ancient mysticism, materialist mysticism. So in conclusion, as we can see, the mystical and superstitious idea of what is currently dubbed the Big Bang has been around in practically its exact form since ancient times. It was never the result of scientific discovery then or now. It remains no more than a religious mantra for those who would prefer to believe the universe and all that is in it created itself without purpose. As of 2004, hundreds of astronomers, astrophysicists, scientists, and engineers have signed a cosmology statement affirming the following, quote, "The Big Bang today relies on a growing number of hypothetical entities, things that we have never observed. Inflation, dark matter, and dark energy are the most prominent examples. Without them, there would be a fatal contradiction between the observations made by astronomers and the predictions of the Big Bang theory. In no other field of physics would this continual recourse to new hypothetical objects be accepted as a way of bridging the gap between theory and observation. It would, at the very least, raise serious questions about the validity of the underlying theory. But the Big Bang theory can't survive without these fudge factors.